So, let's lean into a quiet, slow building mystery with a touch of the surreal, something that feels almost real, but just strange enough to make Jonah and the reader wonder what's really going on. They walked in silence at first, not the awkward kind, but the kind that hums with something unspoken. She led him through streets he thought he knew, but somehow they looked different, older, more worn at the edges. The buildings leaned a little closer, the stones underfoot uneven like they shifted in their sleep. Jonah glanced at her as they turned the corner. She smiled, eyes still ahead, surprised by his own answer. They stopped at a narrow alleyway where ivy curled up the walls like veins. At the end of it stood a wooden door, weathered and painted deep green. She placed her hand on the handle but didn't open it right away. Jonah frowned. She looked at him, and then she opened the door. Inside was a tiny courtyard garden, hidden between the backs of buildings. It shouldn't have been there. Jonah was sure of it. He'd lived in his town his whole life and had never seen anything like it. But it wasn't just the space. It was the feeling. The air was warmer. The sound of the street vanished. Everything smelled faintly of lavender and old books. Jonah turned to her slowly. The girl with this red scarf looked at him as if he were the one with the answers. Then she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper, yellowed, soft as the edges. She handed it to him without a word. He unfolded. His name was written at the top. Jonah Thomas, beneath it. A short sentence in looping handwriting. Perfect. Let's deepen the mystery just a little more before peeling back the layers. This will build tension and hint at a hidden connection without yet revealing the full truth. Jonah started at the note in his hands. The paper felt too familiar, like something he touched in a dream but couldn't remember. The handwriting delicate and strange, tackled at something buried just beneath memory. He looked up. She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the edge of the courtyard, where an old bench sat beneath a tangle of flowing vines. She ran her fingers along the wood like she was reading a language only she could understand. Mela. Jonah swallowed, I think. I don't know. She has. His heart thudded in his chest. She turned to face him fully now, her scarf catching the golden light that filtered through the ivy. Her eyes searched his face, kind but steady. He took a step back, shaking his head. She reached out and placed a small, smooth stone in his palm. It was warm, somehow, edged with a single symbol, an open eye. Jonah's fingers closed around the stone instinctively. The world around him felt silently fragile, like it might fall away if he breathed too hard. She tightened her head slightly, her smile returning gentle and knowing. Let's slip into a deeper layer of mystery. In the something of the artwork, Jonah will begin to glimpse his forgotten past through a vision tricked by the stone, blending memory and dream, truth and illusion. The moment Jonah closed his fingers around the stone, the warmth pulsed, once, twice, and then bloomed like a small sun in his palm. The courtyard dimmed, not darkened, exactly, more like faded. The walls blurred at the edges, the vines stilled. Even the girl seemed to shift slightly, like her outline wasn't fixed anymore. Then the stone flashed, and she was somewhere else. A hallway, narrow, dust-filled, faint golden light peered through stained glass windows, painting and red and blue and green across the floor. It was quiet except for the steady echo of footsteps, his own. He realized he was walking, but not by choice, like being pulled forward. He reached a door, wooden, warm snood by countless hands. He opened it. Inside, a room lined with shelves filled with old books, curious objects, trinkets, boxes, clocks with no hands. At the center stood a round table. A single candle burned in the middle, and seated across from it was a man. Grey eyes, a long coat, hands clasped neatly on the table. Jonah stepped closer. The man looked up. His voice echoed strangely, like it was bouncing between time and time. Jonah opened his mouth to speak, but his voice didn't work. The man continued. Jonah finally forced out a question. The man, I don't know, like this. The man leaned forward, and the candle flickered, the room trembled, and Jonah stared at him. There was a pause, a long one, and she said softly, the flame went out. Jonah was back in the courtyard. The stone was still in his hand, cold now. The girl stood beside him, watching quietly. It's not just a question, Jonas noted slowly, the vision still burning behind his eyes. She gave a small, solemn nod. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time on Kisa's Artworks. Bye!